John Wage is a 37-year-old music teacher from Massachusetts, and he's currently involved in a fight for his life in two ways. One is his cancer. He's currently battling cancer. And the other is he's fighting against an actual death panel. Now, understand that this death panel is, of course, not the fake death panels that conservatives scream about when it comes to Obamacare. It's the insurance companies who are the real death panels. And here we have absolute proof of it. Not like we needed it. We already knew from previous stories and previous articles that that indeed is the case. But here we have further proof of it. So Wage endured 3 surgeries, radiation, several rounds of IV chemotherapy, and 9 months of oral chemotherapy, but his last CT scan showed significant growth in a tumor on his liver, as well as the stability of several small lesions in his lungs. His surgeon, Dr. Jennifer LaFemina, also discovered evidence of cancer on his abdominal wall and outer colon. So in response to this, his doctors said that he needs something called cytoreductive surgery with hyperthermic intraperitoneal chemotherapy. And the only problem with this is his insurance company said no. Quote, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey has denied coverage for this procedure because according to their medical policy number 035, they deem it experimental. After his surgeon, Dr. Lambert's peer-to-peer appeal, the procedure was denied again for the same reason. So, this is absolutely soul-crushing because he appealed to them, they said no. He had his doctor do it and say specifically, no, I recommend this and I want this. They said no. So then they were not deterred very quickly. They decided to take another step here. They gathered up all the research available, which proves that this procedure is indeed not experimental, and it was still rejected for the same reason. Now understand, at least according to the article on this and Addicting Info, there's a lot of empirical research here that shows that this is in fact not experimental, and this is the best course of treatment for somebody who has this specific kind of cancer, I believe for the abdominal wall and outer colon cancer. So this is his best chance, and they still said no, citing because it's experimental when it is indeed not experimental. Even his doctor and all the research says that. So what does this come down to? The same thing that is the root problem in every story we discuss about the healthcare system in the United States of America. It comes down to profit. It's incredibly expensive to do something like this, and the insurance company simply doesn't want to pay up. You know what this reminds me of? The story with, and there were 2 separate stories about this that we covered on the show, where people would visit here from, one was from Canada, the other was from the UK, and they had their babies way early when they were here. And, of course, they didn't have insurance. And in one case, there was complications, and come to find out, weeks later, now they owe like over $1 million. Simply because if they had the baby where they were from, whether Canada or the UK, $0.00 is what it would cost. But in America, it was over $1 million. One because of complications, and another one was very expensive as well, and they didn't have as much complications, but it was still expensive and cost prohibitive. See, this is just an all too common story in America. If you watch Michael Moore's Sicko, I'm not a fan of all of Michael Moore's documentaries because some of them I think go a little too far. Capitalism, a Love Story, I'm like 50% with him, 50% not with him, but that's another story for another day. But Sicko is just fantastic. In the whole movie, there's this great thing that fact-checked it a while back. There's only like a handful of factual errors in the whole thing. The overwhelming majority of what he talks about is just out-and-out truth. And he spoke to people who were in various departments in the different insurance companies who told him, I quit the job because my job was to pick who lives and dies. I had to determine, no, that's too expensive, so that person is not going to get the surgery they need. Did you know they have entire departments for this process called rescission. And what rescission is where you go back and you try to nullify a contract based on anything you could find, anything you can muck up. So, the typical example given is, let's say on one piece of paperwork, you write your middle name, but on a different piece of paperwork, you don't write your middle name. Well, the insurance company can look back at that and say, there's a discrepancy here, and now we're not going to cover you for your cancer treatment. Another example was they went back and looked at this poor woman's record when it came to her skin, because she had cancer. She had skin cancer. And they went back and they were able to find that she had acne when she was younger. And she didn't report it on her paperwork, so they found it through other means. And then they told her, well, now we're not going to pay out for your treatment for cancer. She said, what do you mean? It was acne. I didn't know I need to report acne, and it's just acne. That's not like a medical problem that you need. That's a pre-existing condition. They go, no. You said it was. You say it's acne. We say it was. It maybe was cancerous skin lesions back then. So therefore, you already had cancer. We're saying, and we're not going to pay out on your cancer treatment now. Anything you could do, any sleazy thing you could do to try to weasel your way out of paying, and then guess what happens? Oftentimes they know, like, look, we're wrong on this one, and we know that we're wrong on this one, but fuck it, we're going to deny it, and then if they want to take us to court, fine, take us to court. But that's going to cost how many hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars, and meanwhile, you probably only have 7 months left to live anyway because you have fucking cancer? So they know they're in the wrong, but they do it anyway, and then they'll drag out the court process, if need be. I mean, this is the problem with having a for-profit insurance system, a for-profit health system. Again, don't get me wrong, in some areas in an economy, the profit motive and competition make sense. It's smart in some areas. When it comes to life or death issues and a health insurance and a health care system, it doesn't make sense. And I don't say that based on opinion. I say that based on the World Health Organization and all the studies that have looked into it and looked at all the different healthcare systems around the world. France has been ranked number 1. It's a single-payer system. It's all public money going to private providers. But it's all paid for by the taxpayers. That's the best system in the world. Britain has a good system too, and it's public money going to public institutions. So the best systems across the board are different versions of universal healthcare systems. We were ranked number 37 in that study, man. And when you read stuff like this, you realize, oh, I see why that is. You can't fucking reject somebody for the treatment that they desperately need when they've proven that it isn't experimental, but you're saying it's experimental? You're doing it because you need to make more money because you have a fiduciary responsibility to your shareholders to maximize profit. No, this is unacceptable. It's not acceptable, man. You can't do this. You can't do this. Not in a civilized society. You cannot do shit like this. The American people need to stand up and demand. Obamacare was a step in the right direction, but we need to go all the way and do a single-payer system. I mean, it's the year 2015, and people still die because of stuff like this. Medical bills are the number 1 cause of bankruptcy in the United States of America. Did you know 45,000 people died every year in America because they didn't have access to basic health care? And we pay more than other nations do. We pay more and get worse outcomes and less people covered. No, this is madness and this is backwards, and we need to fight to get on the right side of this. So for everybody listening to the show right now, I'm going to urge you and I'm going to beg you, please, when this gets posted on YouTube, look in the video description box and you'll see a link to this guy's petition. Sign the petition and do everything that you can. Help as much as you can to try to get Blue Cross Blue Shield to do the right thing on this, because this isn't a debatable thing, right? This isn't like, oh, what's your opinion on whether or not we should save this guy's life with the treatment that'll save him? No, I don't give a fuck what your opinion is. We know what the answer is. We know what the right thing to do is. We know what every other modern nation would do. So now we're going to have to force Blue Cross Blue Shield to do the fucking right thing or else.